Okay, so I'm going to start on the last part of this assignment. So the first step, you would be creating the value scale with pencil, and you're going to use all of the pencils that we have. Just make sure your page is neat without smudges, and you're using a roller to create the boxes. Second part of the assignment, you're going to draw your frames for the bouncing ball, and just make sure you look at this. Make sure you have all the 7 pencil weights to draw the ball. So the darkest darks would be your 6B pencil, which would kind of illustrate it above if you put it on the same page. Then you want 6 different frames. Get creative creating this bouncing ball animation. So if you want to spend more time drawing yours out, when we save it at the end of this, I'm going to show you how to save it as a GIF so that when you drag it to a web browser, you'll be able to see that it works. You're going to use Photoshop. I opened my SketchUp into Photoshop. Now, when you look at this last part here, you need to make sure that it's 400 by 400 pixels, so you're not going to do it straight off of your sketch. You're going to go to File, New, and then you're going to set your file image size to 400. Make sure this says pixels by 400 pixels. Right now I'm going to make sure my background is white. Just filling that in with white. If you don't know how to fill it in, or you probably will start off with white. Mine was just set to black, so if you wanted to fill the background in, you would just go to edit and fill, and there you would have options right under contents. You could just put the foreground color or background color, which would be here and here. I'll just cancel that, and I'm going to start off by just grabbing I think I'm going to have this one here as my very top image. So I'm pasting it in here. First thing I want to do is, it looks like it's a little too big for the page, so I'm going to go in here and label this first, call it top, and I'm going to right click onto the right side and convert it to a smart object, because I'm going to resize this. So to transform this, you could go up here and click on your little box here that says show transform controls. If you don't have it, you probably don't have your workspace set to essentials. So if you don't have it and it is set to essentials, just make sure you reset and it should pop back up. So if you go to workspace and you have some other setup for your workspace, just make sure it says essentials and you should have show transform. So I'm going to go over to the upper corner, or any corner, and you're going to drag. So mine right now is set to where I don't have to use shift. But if you're dragging and you see that it's going like this and it's unproportional, make sure you hold down shift. It's either one or the other. So I don't have to hold down shift. So I'm just going to bring it down to about this size here. I'm just eyeing it up, and then I'll move it to the top since this is going to be the top one. So then I'll grab my next one, which would be this one here. Copy it, paste it, and then same thing. Name it so I don't get confused. Right click on the right side, convert to smart object, and then I'm going to transform this one also. So whenever you're transforming, you got to go up here and hit the move tool first. So once you hit the move tool, then you'll see you get that option. I'm going to click on a corner and kind of make it look about the same size as what you see up there. That could be fine. So depending on how the animation goes, is how you're going to tell, because the ball usually when it bounces, it's faster at the bottom and it slows up at top. But then it goes faster at the bottom and slows out up at the top. So you might want to have it closer to the top, or we'll see when we start to animate it. All right, so my third one would be this one here. So copy, paste it, and I will name this mid bottom. And I already converted it to a smart object, so I'm going to hit the move tool and I'll be able to transform it down. And that should be about right. And to nudge it over, I'm just hitting the arrows back and forth. And for the one on the ground, I'll use this one first. Copy it, paste, and right click, convert it to smart object. It really doesn't matter what order you do that in. You can name it, then convert it. So I'm going to bring this down to about there, and maybe have that as the bottom, set it there. Okay, so now I'm going to grab this one here. I forgot this one, so I'm gonna put that one in afterwards. So I'll grab this one first. Bring it in. Label it so you know what it is. Convert it and resize. So it should go down and kind of splat. I would try to multiply when you're over top of something so that you know exactly where it's at. So you can put it over top according to what you see there, and then you can bring it back to normal afterwards. So I think this one looks like it's jumping up a little bit more, so I could move this one. I'm right clicking and I can see what is underneath. So if you right click on an object, you can select that object instead of selecting it in your layers. Let me move this up. Then I can right click over here and probably move this one up because I want it to be a little bit quick here. And probably move this one up a little bit more. Almost like they're right. It's going to slow up when they're closer together. So we'll, let's see here, grab this one, copy and paste, and then resize. Let me bring this above. Okay, so this one, let's see, this one is the one we just did. I forgot to make it a smart object. So what you don't want to do is make it a smart object afterwards because you already resized it. So you brought it down to you're losing pixels, and the main reason why you would use a smart object is because you won't be losing pixels if you have to enlarge it for some reason. So I'll just make it a smart object and call this one uh, first, or uh, just something to make sure you know what it is when we get into the animation part of it. All right, so I think I have all of it. I would create a little shadow, and that's what this one was for, I guess. So like if I grab this here, I bring it in and call it shadow, convert it to smart object, and place it down here. All right, so this should be everything that I need. So let me start off with my top one, and maybe let's put the shadow down underneath, and the shadow could be, the opacity could be light here. Maybe I just put it 20%. And what you want to do now is go up to Window, and you're going to bring up the palette that you need to use when you are animating. So this timeline is the one you're going to use, and I don't want to use the video timeline, so I'm going to switch it here to the frame by frame for this, and we will create a frame by frame by clicking on that button there. So this will be our first frame, and then we'll add a frame here. And when we add a frame, what you want to do is you want to take off top and you want to go to mid top. So this is going to go, right now it goes like this. So then we're going to add another frame, and then we'll click off mid top and go to the mid bottom. And we'll just keep on going till, I don't think that was the next one. This one should be it. So I would try to order your frames so that you don't get confused. So as these are going down, like here's the first one, second one, maybe I'll go to my shadow and I'll add a little bit of 30 for this one. So like this one would be very high, then 30, and this one would be like maybe 50, and then this one should be 70. So then we'll go to the next, and the next one would be bottom. So that we don't really need to have our shadow turned on. And then we're going to go to the next one. It should be flat. So we have that one and that one. You see how it kind of looks like it's flattening out there. So then what we're going to do is we'll just copy this one. Just if you hit the plus, it just gives you a copy, and then you just move the frame over. And then but we should start right here, so that we want to kind of look like it's going back. And then we can go to this one, hit a plus, and bring it over there, 8, and then we hit a plus on 3, and we bring it right here, so you can see it's coming up. And then we have, let's see, got this one, this one, this one, this one, and then we need the last one we don't need because we want it to loop. So let's take a look at what we have. And you can see that the size of it should be around, this should be the actual size of it. So then here we go. You can see it's kind of doing what could have did a little bit more to it, but it gives you the idea of how to animate here. And just be creative when you're doing it. I want to see that that you're creative with it. So let me just select this background. Probably should make the shadow transform as it goes up. So what I would do after looking at it is click on the shadow and then just resize it a little here. And let's see, go to the next one, and then we'll resize it a little more. That don't look like it's going to, you have to, what you do is you're going to have to make a copy of it if you want to resize. So what I would do is, how many frames we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We have five frames that we have to use for the shadow, because we're reusing this one when it loops. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 frames we have to do. Or we don't have to do this one because it's sitting on these two because it's sitting on the ground. So we only need 4. So we can do 2, 3, 4. And then for the first shadow, we'll just leave it alone. This second shadow. And what you want to do when we go to the first shadow, we want to make sure the other shadows are off. Or we could start off where we have all of these selected and just make sure that all of the shadows are off here. And then when you go to the first one, just click on shadow 1 and then go to the second one. Click all shadow 1, go to shadow 2, and then we can, since this is further, we can just enlarge it here. Shadow 1 should be pretty large. We can just want to make sure that it looks like it's in the same spot. As it comes down, it should get smaller. And have more transparency. So I go to this one here, give it transparency. Then the third one, give a little more transparency. Then this fourth one, I need to bring it down. That's the fourth one. Okay, so the opacity is good. It's just that I need to scale it down. Okay. So this one should be the same as this one. 3, we have layer 3 on. That should be 3 on. This one should be off. This one should be 2 on. Then this one should be copy. So that should be that one. Okay. All right, so once you have your animation set and you're ready to export your file, you go up to File, and then you can save for web. So File, Export, Save for web, and you want to go over here to where underneath preset here it says JPEG. You want to change it to GIF. Well, you can preview it, and then when you preview it, you can see that it works in a web browser. If it doesn't work in a web browser, then you're doing something wrong. Okay, but you could lower the colors down to like 64, and you can see it doesn't really change it much, and you see the file size is getting smaller. It shouldn't be larger than 100K. I think if you add a lot of frames, maybe your image size will get bigger, but I think this is fine. Then you can just hit save, and you have to save it as, I know that it's similar to how we're saving everything. I know it's in here somewhere, probably in the rubric. So saving it as first name underscore last name underscore bounce dot gif. So there, I saved it, and you could test it again if you wanted to, and just grab it, pull it to the web browser, and you can see that you have your animation there. And that's about it for that part. Then you would have to upload that along with everything you see here for each part.